الحمد لله رب العالمين بارئ الخلائق أجمعين والعاقبة لأهل التقوى واليقين الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين سيدنا ومولانا أبي القاسم محمد. أما بعد فقد قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في كتابه المجيد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر صلوات. Respected brothers and sisters in Iman, before I start with the permission of Smahtu Sayyid, let's all say our salams to Abu Abdullah al-Hussein and his companions. Assalamu ala al-Hussein wa ala وعلى أصحاب الحسين. السلام على الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى أصحاب With the loudest of the voices, Assalamu وعلى First, we thank the Lord. He has given us the opportunity we can commemorate the days of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. With that said, we will continue our topic, and our topic was, what lessons can we learn from the event of Karbala and Abu Abdullah al-Hussein? And I had mentioned 11 lessons, and we will continue with the 11th today. And the 11th one was how to control your nafs, how to control your emotions. We will continue with that today, but we will go deeper. We will continue with it and we will go deeper. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the Quran says, وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. Today we will discuss what is the human made of. What is the complete human? What is the incomplete human? And what is the purpose of life? And how to balance your life. I am getting all this information from a book called Rozatul Bayan, and it's by Ayatollah Nashpuri, if anybody wants to check it. In that book, he starts off and first he explains that the word human being in Arabic is insan. And it comes from its Arabic root uns. And uns means love. So the definition of a human being is the one who has love. The human being who doesn't have love, you cannot consider him a human being. And then he says, Al-insano murakkabin khata'i, that the insan is made up of mistakes and forgetting. And then he writes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has never closed his doors of forgiveness because he knows that the human is going to forget and forgive. Recite a salawat. And then he says, the Quran says, خُلِقَ الْإِنسَانُ ضَعِيفًا, that we have created the human being weak. And then he gives example and he says, you see in the winters, as soon as the winters come, why do we wear big jackets? Why are we wearing our gloves and our hats and our scarves? Because the insan is weak. And then he says, in the summer, why is it that we take everything off? Some people even want to wear shorts. The believers of Ja'far as-Sadiq never wear shorts. Yes? That's the physical example he gives. And then the emotional example he gives is, he says, God forbid that you get into an accident. And when you get into that accident, you keep reliving that moment. That, oh, what if I never made that left turn? Oh, what if I never made that right turn? That's the examples he gives to prove that the insan is weak. And then he goes on and he says, what are the similarities between human being and animal? The similarities, he says, are just like the animals, we feel cold and we feel hot. Just like the animals, we have our needs, we have our desires. Just like the animals, we have to feed our stomachs. That's the similarities. So what is the difference between an animal and a human being? And he says the difference is Allah has given you aql. With that aql, you know that you're not going to eat haram. And you know you're not going to feed your stomach because of that aql. Opposite of the animal will feed its stomach. He has his desires. He will fulfill those desires even though they are haram. But the human being, he knows with the aql and the nutq that Allah has gave him that you cannot do this because this is haram. And then he mentions that human is made up of three things. The first is the body. The second, alaykum as-salam, the second is the soul, and the third is the nafs. And then he goes and he says the body is made up of four things. Body is made up of sand, body is made up of water, body is made up of fire, and body is made up of air. These are the four components that make the body. That's why there's only four types of people in the world. You will see there are some people who are down to earth. They are humble, they are nice, they are polite. Why? Because they are made up of sand. We call them the sandy people. And then you have other people who are always shy. Wherever they go, they're at a Raza, they're with their families, they're at work. Wherever they are, they're always shy because they are made up of water. And then the third type of person you have, this person is always angry. From the time he wakes up to the time he goes to sleep, he's always fighting with people. If it's at work, if it's at school, wherever it is, because that person is made up of fire. And the fourth person, this person likes to be the CEO. He wants to be the boss of everybody. Why? Because this person is made up of air. And then Agha Neshapuri writes at the end that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it balanced. He has made a balance. You are made of 25% water. You are made of 25% of water, air, fire, and air. And then he said, we have to balance all these fours. If you don't balance it, if you go imbalance, that's when the problems start happening. That's when depression kicks in. That's when anxiety kicks in. That's when you start losing interest in Allah. So the body had four things. Just like that, he says, the ruh has four things also. And then he says, the ruh has four things. The first thing is nur, light. And the example he gives is that we all have ears that we listen with, we have eyes that we see with, we have a nose. But when a person dies, he still has those components on his body. Why is it that he can't hear you? Why is it that he can't see? Because the main switch has been turned off. That nur, that light, the main switch has been turned off. That's why he can't hear you anymore. That's why he can't see you anymore. That was the first thing of the soul. The second thing of the soul is smell. We all try our best to look good, smell good, put on deodorant, have Axe on and whatever clones. But when a person passes away, the closest to him, the ones that loved him, his own daughters, his own sons, his own wife, says bury him quickly. Why? Because we don't want to smell him no more. So that smell was always hidden. That was the second component the soul is made of. The third component the soul is made up of is ilm, knowledge. Einstein was one of the, or he still is considered one of the most smartest men on earth. After he passed away, he has given so many things to science, but after he passed away, can you ask him a question? No. Why? Because he's gone. Just like that, Ayatollah Hakim, he was marja fi dunya before Abul Qasim Khoi. He has given away so many fatwas, but after his death, can you go ask him any fatwa? No, because he has passed away. That was the third thing the soul is made of. And the fourth thing the soul is made up of is baqa. You are alive, you are moving, you are doing whatever you're doing. You're going to work, you're going to school, you're coming to Aza. Why? Because that baqa is there. And then Agha Naishapuri says, Qala Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. He says, for the body and for the soul, you have to keep a balance. And then Imam Ali says, if you can do balance, you are better than an angel. But if you cannot control your desires, your emotions, you are worse than an animal. And in the Quran it says also that those who are stranded are just like cattle. And what are cattle? Just like animals. So these were the components that the human being is made up of. And then he says, what is the purpose of life? How many articles are written? How many videos do we see? And they all try to prove the purpose of life. Some say the purpose of life is reproduction. Some say there is no purpose of life. And then Agha Naishapuri says that Allah says, I have made jinn and ins to worship me. But what does he mean by worship? To me and you, worship is growing a beard out, having a tasbih in our hand, reading it in front of everybody, going to Hajj, telling everybody that, oh, I am going to Hajj because then when I come back from Hajj, I will change my name, Al-Hajj Ali Raza. Or I am going to Ziyarat, so people can call me Zawari Ahli Bayt Ali Raza. That's what he says. But the worship of Allah is that Allah only knows that you wake up 3 in the morning and recite Namaz Tahajjud. That the real worship is only Allah knows that one day you send $200 to a Sayyid Zadi in Pakistan or India. That the true worship of Allah is that you do all the acts without anybody knowing. So in conclusion, my brothers and sisters, these are the holy nights. Pause your life for a minute. Stop your life for a minute and think. Am I living my life the way the Ahlul Bayt want me to live it? Am I living the life that Allah wants me to live? Or am I living the life the way I want to live it? I don't want to take a lot of your time because I know as the days go by, we want to weep more. Why? Because we know Imam Hussein is only here for a day or two. Today the night is associated with Ali Akbar. In the time of the Prophet, one day Prophet is sitting in Masjid Nabawi and he hears some people are fighting outside the mosque. He orders Salman Farsi, oh Salman Farsi, go see outside what's going on. He goes and he comes back and he tells the Prophet, there's 2 people, they're fighting over a camel. One says the camel is mine and the other one says the camel is mine. The Prophet goes out with his companions. As soon as the Prophet goes out, one of the men, he takes his turban off and he puts it in the feet of the Prophet. He says, I swear to you and I promise to you, this is my camel. The Prophet said, what is your proof? He says, sacrifice that animal. And once you sacrifice that animal, on the animal's chest, there's going to be a black mark. The Prophet said, okay. He gave the hukam, they sacrificed the animal. And when they sacrificed the animal, he saw a black spot on him. The Prophet called him and he said, how did you know there was going to be a black spot on his chest? He said, I swear upon to you, this is my camel. And a very long time ago, he used to have a young son. And right in front of him, I sacrificed his son. And from that day on, that camel cried so much that I knew that he had a black spot on him. Imam Hussein was standing right next to the Prophet, he picks up Hussein, he starts crying and he hugs him and he says, "Oh Hussein, you are going to give the sacrifice of Ali Akbar." Let's move forward to Karbala. Ali Akbar asks permission from his father, and his father says, "Oh Ali Akbar, how can I give you the permission? If you were my age and you had this son of my age, I would see how you gave permission to him." And Imam orders him, "Go into the tent." He goes into the tent, and the narrator writes that when every shaheed went, when every youngster went, the tent, the door will open once and then it would close. But when Ali Akbar left, it opened 18 times. And then he writes, whenever Ali Akbar wanted to go out, sometimes Zainab would grab him, sometimes Zakina would grab him, sometimes Layla would grab him. So Ali Akbar is ready to leave. He climbs onto the horse. When he climbs onto the horse, he sees that there's a call. He's on top of the horse and he hears someone calling him. He turns his horse around and he sees it's Sakina. She comes out of the khayma and she says, "Oh brother, this is going to be our last meeting." Ali Akbar gets off the horse and he hugs Sakina and he says, "Sakina, this is the last time we will meet. You will stay in Sham and I will stay here." Now Ali Akbar asks his father to go. And Imam Hussein says, "Yes, you have my permission, you can go." Now Ali Akbar is going towards the battlefield and he's riding his horse. He feels a presence behind him. He feels that there's someone behind him. He looks back and it's his father. He's running. As the horse gets faster and faster, Imam Hussein is running and saying, "Oh Ali Akbar, oh Ali Akbar, stop, I am your old father." Ali Akbar goes to the battlefield. Imam Hussein is on top of the hill. Imam Hussein is watching Ali Akbar fight. Fidda is watching Imam Hussein. Zainab is watching Fidda. And Layla is watching Zainab. Now Ali Akbar is fighting. Ali Akbar falls. Imam Hussein falls. Fidda fell. Zainab fell. Layla fell. And they all fell. وَمَا عَلَيْنَا إِلَّا الْبَلَاغُ.